Hi there. Is your GMAT score stuck or your GMAT score is not improving? Despite working hard, you don't see any improvement in your GMAT score. In this video, we'll understand why your GMAT score is not improving and what all you can do to improve it. Before that, I'm just introducing myself. My name is Mandeep, and I'm a GMAT coach and founder of GMAT Mantra. What I do, I help students who have either given GMAT once but failed to score 700 on GMAT. Let's say you have prepared earlier and scored 550 or 600 or 650 or maybe 700, but your target is 750. Then I would love to work with you to reach your target score. Or you have studied from some online course or you have taken classes from some other institute, but you don't see any value addition or you don't see any improvement in your score, then I would love to work with you. So I will help you to score 700 plus by giving structure and consistency to your preparation. Because these are the two things which are essential to score 700 plus, because most of the students lack structure and consistency. So in short, I work with committed students because if you see the students I help with, I help are someone who have already prepared and now they want to work again. That means they are committed students. So I work with committed students who are desperate to score 700 plus. I don't want to work with someone who is not desperate. So they are desperate to score 700 plus by giving structure and consistency to their preparation by teaching them on one-to-one basis. Because I believe that everybody has a different understanding level. So I cannot have the same course for everyone. So I customize the course as per the requirement. And very important, I don't want to work with students who are just interested in giving GMAT. These are mostly the first time takers. I can't say that everybody who is preparing for the first time are just interested, because there are some committed students. But most of the people who are preparing for the first time, they are just interested. So I don't like working with people who are just interested. I love working with committed students because when I commit with this, I commit myself to a student, I make sure that the student gets the score. Now, let's understand why we fail to improve our GMAT score and how to score 700 plus on GMAT. Now, if you look at GMAT preparation, we can say that there are 5 things that are there in GMAT preparation. First is knowledge of concepts. So those who have already, because I'm believing that you're looking at it, that means you have already prepared or you have studied a bit. So what happens is you have seen that we have concepts in sentence correction, in which we have grammar concepts, and then we have concepts in what. What happens is mostly why we fail to improve our GMAT score is that we never memorize the concepts. We always read the concepts. So if you're reading the concepts, probably you will never feel confident about the knowledge. But if you have memorized the concepts, you will feel confident about the concepts. A very simple way, whether you know the concept or not. What I normally tell to my students is that once you have memorized the concepts, you should be in a position to teach it to someone else. So what you can do is take a piece of paper, okay, and assume that somebody is sitting in front of you. So take a piece of paper and start writing as you're explaining it to another student. So if you're able to explain the concept to another student, that means you know the concepts. And if you're fumbling, you're not able to remember what exactly to say, that means you're reading the concepts. So that is one of the major reasons why there are students who I would say they invest 1 year, 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years in the preparation because they never memorize the concepts. So the best way is to memorize the concepts. Don't read the concepts. That's the number 1 reason. So if you can improve this, you can drastically reduce your preparation time. Initially, they think that, oh, if I memorize the concept, it will take time. Yes, initially it will take time, but once it's done forever. When you're reading, you keep reading forever. Even after 6 months, I've seen students who don't know the basic concepts. They say, I've studied it. So there's a difference. You have studied and do you remember it? Because you have to apply it. You cannot carry your notes to the GMAT. So make sure you memorize the concepts. Second is mastery of right approach. See, there are different ways to solve the questions. For example, if I look at sentence correction, so one, you can solve the question by understanding the meaning of the sentence, or you can compare the options, find the difference among the choices, and then eliminate the wrong ones. These are the two ways or two approaches to solve sentence correction questions. Similarly, for CR, RC, maths, for every type of question, there are 2 to 3 ways to solve the question. Now, what happens is when students start practicing questions, let's say I'm looking at sentence correction and you're doing questions from official guide. So what I've seen is that when students start solving questions from official guide, they do a question. Now, let's say you take 10 questions, you practice 10 questions, out of which you got 4 right and 6 wrong. So for the questions that they got wrong, so the 6 questions that a student get wrong, they look at the explanation at the end of the official guide, or they just go online and they go to different forums, for example, GMAT Club, and they look for the explanation for the question that they got wrong. This is where they make the biggest mistake. What you need to understand is you have to do the mastery. Okay, so when you're looking at the explanation from some other source, that means you're not putting in your head into it. You will never understand the right way to solve it. So what you have to do is you have to stop yourself from looking at the explanation from any other source. If you're doing it, stop it right away. You don't have the choice to look at the explanation from any source. If you're doing it, probably forget it. You will never ever improve in GMAT. As simple as that. Doesn't matter, you take coaching from anywhere. Okay, I can challenge that because that is the fundamental flaw why 90%, or I would say more than 99% students fail to score 700 plus in their first attempt. This is the reason. If you can understand, okay, so whenever you get a question wrong, give as much time it takes to solve the question yourself. Because in a question, there are only 2 things. One is the knowledge, second is the approach. Knowledge you have already memorized. And if you just give enough time to solve each question that you got wrong yourself, you will master the approach. This is the second, or I would say the biggest reason you're failing to improve your score, because whenever you're not able to solve any question yourself, you look at the explanation from any other source. Stop it right away. If you can't do that, forget it. You will never score 600 plus. I can give it in writing, because whichever student comes to me, this is the basic reason they fail to score or a high score on GMAT. Okay, so what you do when you're getting a question wrong, make sure that you solve that question yourself, irrespective how much time it takes, because this is the second factor. You think that, oh, if I do that, that will take a lot of time. Yes, it will take a lot of time initially, but trust me, the amount of time you invest to solve one wrong question will help you to solve another 10 questions. Because to solve that question, probably you have to put in a lot of focus, a lot of concentration. You would be reading again, you'll go back to the concepts, because you don't have a choice to look at the explanation. Okay, so this is the second reason. So make sure the question that you got wrong, don't seek explanation for those questions from any other source. So this is the second thing. Third is how to work under time pressure. This is the next reason why students, because they have anxiety issues. So how to prepare this particular section? For that, you need to have the right strategy to give mocks or quizzes. So I'm just combining point number 3 and 4. So what is the right strategy? First thing you need to understand is that you have to focus on accuracy. This is the mindset of most of the students. They think that you have to get all the questions right to score 700 plus in GMAT, but that's not true. For example, I'm just taking, let's say somebody wants to score 700 or let's say 720. A very, I would say the best combination is that you score 15 quant and you get around 37, 38 in verbal. This will give you 720. Now, if I just look at verbal score, in verbal, there are 36 questions that you have to do in 65 minutes. What happens is maximum students try to attempt every question. And when they try to attempt every question, they make a lot of silly mistakes. Okay, and that creates pressure also because there will be a rush. Now to get 37, 38, you can follow a very basic thing. Okay, focus on 30 questions. And out of that, try to get around 80% accuracy. That means try to get 24, 25 questions right. If you get 24, 25 questions right, you end up getting around 37, 38. And if you get 90% accuracy, that means you're getting 27, 28 questions right, you're getting 40, 41. And for the last 6 questions, because it's important that you attempt every question of verbal section and quant section. So for the last 6 questions, in last probably 2 minutes, randomly mark anything and complete the section. Okay, so focus on accuracy. Don't focus on attempting all the questions. You have to mark the answer to every question, but you don't have to invest time. Okay, so if you can understand this philosophy, probably you can immediately improve your score. Now, second thing is how to practice under time pressure. So this is also very important. So when you're practicing under time pressure, this is what I do with my students. So I divide this time practice in 2 parts. One, I do sectional quizzes with my students. And then we do mock tests. Sectional quizzes means there are verbal quizzes, separate verbal quizzes, and there are separate quant quizzes. So what I do, there are a lot of quizzes where each quiz is of 30 minutes and each quiz has 20 questions. So what you can do is you can just take a set of practice questions of 20 or take 20 questions and time yourself for 30 minutes. Use some screen recording software. For example, you can use Zoom or there is Loom. Again, I give you the names. One, you can use Zoom for screen recording or you can use Loom for screen recording. So when you're taking this timed quiz, turn on the screen recording software and solve this quiz by speaking. So speak while giving the quiz. Okay, so it will record how you solved the question. After 30 minutes, once it's done, stop the recording and then listen to that recording. So once you listen to that recording, you will understand that under time pressure, there are certain topics, you know the theory, but you avoid those topics. For example, I've seen it that in sentence correction, some students, they know the basics of tenses, specifically past perfect, which is had. So they know the concept of had, but whenever they see had, they avoid it. They think that, oh, I'll handle it later. So they run away from a particular topic. Or let's say it's critical reasoning. So in critical reasoning, let's say it's boldface. Some people, they're afraid of boldface. They know how to solve it. They know the basics, but they run away from boldface. So when you're looking at the recording, try to identify the topics, which you know that you are aware of the basic concepts, but you're afraid of it. Let's say you identified that you're struggling with had. So once you have identified the topic, take around 10 questions that are specifically based on had and do those questions with the right approach. If you do that, probably now you will not face problem with had. Similarly, do this with every topic which you have identified. So what happens is if you work on your weak areas, because through this recording, you can easily identify your weak areas and practice your weak areas and then give another quiz. So with each successive quiz, you will see that slowly you're able to identify each and every weak area you have, and you've rectified each and every weak area. Secondly, what you can do is you have to build confidence also. So rather than focusing on 20 questions, let's say you feel there's a lot of anxiety inside, there is a rush. What you can do is rather than giving yourself 20 questions in 30 minutes, start with 10 questions in 30 minutes. So let's say out of 10, you get 9 questions right. So you understand, if I give time, I get the question right. So that increases your confidence, because see, confidence is about knowledge. So if you're getting 9 questions right out of 10, that means you know the concept, you know the right approach. So once that happens, then take 12 questions in 30 minutes. And then 14 questions in 30 minutes. So slowly increase the number of questions you're doing in 30 minutes and take it to 20 questions. You will see slowly your confidence level is increasing. And normally what I do, once my student start getting around 80% accuracy, let's say they're getting 16 to 17 questions right out of 20 in 30 minutes. I take my students to the full length mocks. So here I do around 25 mock tests with my students, because I know once your timing is perfect, the next issue is stamina. So the stamina is all about, practice. And second is order of the section. So what I do, that you can either give quant first and then verbal, or you can give first verbal, then quant. So you have to figure out which combination works best for you. Okay, so take first test, take quant verbal, second test verbal quant, see whichever in which you get better score. Let's say verbal quant works better for you. And the third, follow verbal quant and see, do you see the improvement? If it works, stick with verbal quant. So one is to figure out what combination works best for you. Secondly, keep giving at least 15-20 mock tests. And let's say your score is 720. Don't book your GMAT till you get at least 730 to 750 back to back in 7 to 8 mock tests. Because if you're not getting 730 to 750, don't expect 720 in GMAT. Because normally I've seen it for maximum students, not for everyone, but for maximum students, there is a fall of 10-20 points for whatever you're getting in mock test. And secondly, you should be getting it consistently. If you're getting 650 in one test and 730 in the second test, don't book your GMAT. There is a variation. So you will end up getting a lower score. This is a pattern that I'm talking about. So once you get around 730 to 750, back to back in 7 to 8 mock tests, then only book your GMAT. Before that, don't book it. So these are the things. If you follow these things, whatever I recommended, probably you will see immediate improvement in your GMAT score. Now, if you want this to be handled by someone else, then probably you can consider our curriculum or our coaching, which is one-on-one basis. So in our curriculum, I divide the curriculum in 3 stages. So let me explain how I teach to my students. So stage 1 is where I focus on the basic concepts and right approach. So what I do, so normally there are around 10 to 15 classes for verbal, and there are 10 to 15 classes for quant. So in each class, I will teach you the concepts. Then we'll do some questions to understand what is the right approach to solve questions. And then I give you a homework. So your job is to write down step-by-step solution to every question of the homework. And in the next class, you will explain me every question step by step. So when you're explaining it to me, I understand which concepts you're still facing problems. Second, are you following the right approach or not? So I instantly give you the feedback. So what happens is, because I'm giving you the feedbacks, you know that what exactly is the next step of preparation. You don't have to think, what are my weaknesses? Where am I failing? Because I'll be giving you the feedback. And same thing we do with the quant. There will be concepts, then we do questions, then there's the homework, and then you explain me each question step by step. So this is the first stage of preparation. The second stage of preparation, as I explained in the previous slide, where we focus on timing. So here we have around 80 sectional quizzes, out of which 45 are verbal, and there are 35 quizzes for quant, where each quiz is of 30 minutes, and each quiz has 20 questions. So as I explained, when you take this quiz, we use a screen recording software. So you record the screen and you speak while solving the questions, and then you send that recording to me. I listen to that recording. I figure out the areas where you're facing problem. I figure out whether there is an anxiety issues or you are in a rush. And then after the quiz, we have a session where we rectify that particular area. And then we give the next quiz. So we keep giving such quizzes till you start getting at least 80% accuracy. That means out of 20 questions, you will be getting 16 to 17 questions correct. Once that happens, that means your timing is perfect. Then we go to the third stage. Third stage is where we take full length mocks. So there are 25 mock tests that I discussed with the students. So you take up a mock, then we have a discussion, you take up a mock, we have a discussion. So we keep giving such mocks till you start getting your target score or more than your target score in 7 to 8 tests back to back. I again explain, let's say your target is 720. I want you to get at least 730 to 750 in 7 to 8 tests back to back. Once that happens, then I recommend you to book your GMAT and give the GMAT. So if you have any other queries or if you want to start the classes with me, you can call me directly on this number, which is 8860616050. So till then, all the best for your preparation.